is officially January the 15th, 2025, and this is the Voice of Camp Nathanael, coming at you from the campus of Camp Nathanael here in Emelina, Kentucky. My name is Stephen Bell, and with me, as always, the highfalutin. Come on. Come on.
Okay, this is Lee Sharp.
Yep, there it is. Now come, you've heard highfalutin before,
yes,
haven't you?
Yes.
All right, do you know what it means? It almost sounds like wild westerny to me, but
wild and westerny. It feels like you think you're very important of some.
It means fancy. It means fancy.
Fancy. Okay, I'll take fancy.
If there's anything that fits Lee Sharp, it's fancy.
I'll take fancy.
Hey guys, this is part 2 of our year-end review episode with our mission director, the left-handed man himself, Jeff McIntyre.
It's good to be with you guys, as always.
There was a left-handed reference on the last show. You can, if you missed it, you need to go back and catch up.
Because we're going to keep going from the last one.
We are going to jump right into it. We talked a lot about it in the last time, and so we're going to let Jeff take off here. Jeff, man, we made it up to summer camp in the last episode, and we knew that if we didn't cut it off, we'd be here for probably a while. We're going to try to, We're going to make sure we keep everybody's time into consideration here, but
we're mindful of our podcast lengths.
I know summer camp for me was a brand new experience because it was the summer I got to serve as camp director. So, Jeff, how was it with me at the helm for a few months?
Listen, we don't need to get into that.
There we go. Yeah.
No, it was a great summer. It was fantastic. Good. And again, it's no secret that camp is my passion. It's what being the camp director for almost 20 years is. It's one of those. It's the part of the ministry that kind of allows us to. I always looked at it as harvest time.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I looked at it.
For sure.
I looked at the opportunity for us to go into the schools, to connect with students, to pour into them, to hopefully see some of them do their lessons, to have the impact of God's word that they're memorizing kind of stew in their hearts a little bit. And we know that God's word doesn't return void, right?
That's right.
And I always looked at camp as the opportunity then to be able to really kind of drive home the fact that, Christ died for them. We are all in need of a Savior, and camp is the time where that happens. And so, it's kind of the pinnacle of everything that we've worked hard for during the course of that school year, and we get to see it all come together during a week of camp. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's what the ministry was built on. It's what we continue to keep as the forefront, the main emphasis of what we do. And without trying to sound too braggadocious, I think we do it well. I think it's something that we have honed, and I think it's a very, very powerful and impactful week for the kids that participate.
So was there anything that stood out this summer? Like I said, I can share stories because it was all a brand new experience for me and whatnot, but I know everything from, when we do Hilltop at the end of each week, which is always just a staple for everyone's week. From everything to we talked about the pool on the last episode, and we got to break in that new deck this year for family camp, which I know feedback from that was greatly appreciated. I love our family camp week. What goes on there, and we're seeing more and more families come in as a result of that. A lot more local families as well coming and taking part of that.
We brought in a lot of speakers.
Oh goodness, yeah,
all over. I'm trying to remember who was our family camp speaker this year. I'm trying to remember his name.
Mark Hirschberger. From PA.
From PA, who we had come and do a work week. Great guy, great supporter of camp. But yeah, we that week of camp, the speakers, both missionary and speaker, Mark, just a great combination. It's always been a great week, and a lot of people say, "Well, how do you?" I've had people in the conference say, "How do you find your speakers?" And really, the reality is that God has connected us with a lot of godly men who love this ministry and are willing to, take a week. And we are excited about this coming year. Brian, his last name escapes me now, but you can look it up. We'll be posting it. He's the pastor of actually one of our supporting churches in Hudsonville, Michigan. The name of the church is actually Georgetown Bible Church. Mm-hmm. And he has already been confirmed for this summer, and we are excited about that. But family camp kind of blends into the whole summer kind of thing. And one of the things I just really wanted to emphasize, at least for me as a camp director, that it always kind of made or it was a make or break kind of a summer thing, was your staff. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that stood out to me this year was just the great staff that we had this year.
Man, we had a lot of kids get really close this year. The camaraderie that was there, their ability to work together and to put each other ahead of themselves. Man, from a camp director perspective, that was my favorite part of the summer, hands down, was just getting to pour into these high school and college age kids who have given of their summer when they could be out doing anything else.
Agreed.
But they know they're making an impact for eternity.
Right. Yeah. As a camp director, I've always told my summer staff, I can't be in every cabin. I can't, I'm not, but you are my connection with those kids. And if you understand what we're trying to do, and you understand that you're an extension really of us as an organization, as a mission, but you are the ones that are making it happen. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they take that seriously, and they understand that usually things were really, really good during the summer. And this year in particular, I could see that in our staff. And I would just use that as some of you listeners might know of some quality young people.
That's right.
Or college students who are looking for an opportunity to use their spiritual gifts in a ministry like ours. And yes, the application process is not a piece of cake. It's pretty intensive. But it allows us to be able to get kids here working on staff who are really passionate about serving. It's not a summer job. I don't ever call it a summer job. It's a summer ministry. And if you've got young people who are interested in giving their summer for a ministry, then we'd be interested in talking with them.
Hey, and I can attest from a parent's perspective for a second. I have seen so much growth in one of my children in particular, who has served here for the past 2 summers and will continue to serve on as long as she can. But just to see the spiritual growth that has taken place in her life because of the ministry opportunities that she has gotten to have here during the summer as summer staff, man, it's so valuable. I can't express how appreciative I am of camp from that perspective, and but it's great just to see those friendships and to see the impact that they make for eternity. So.
And if you haven't already listened to the podcast episodes, we had some summer missionaries on with us. That was during the summertime. So go back and you can hear directly from some of the summer missionaries about what camp means to them and how it impacted them through the summer there.
Absolutely.
The next big ministry that we had was outdoor ed.
This is one of the big ones, man. We just came off talking about summer camp, and now we move into outdoor ed. It doesn't slow down, does it?
We went back in time to the 1800s.
Oh, we did. It was Pioneer Days.
Pioneer Days.
Man.
Little house on the prairie.
Listen, one of my favorite things is shoveling hay. For a time period, not for life.
Steven's main job during outdoor ed was shoveling hay.
That's right. I love it.
Now, those of you that got the light last month, there was an article featured in there about our outdoor ed days, and so again, I classify that as one of the big 3. It serves as an opportunity for us as a ministry to have connection with our local schools. Obviously, those of you that don't know what outdoor ed is, we metamorphosize the campground around a particular theme. And for between 4 and 5 weeks, we do day field trips that many of the public schools and homeschool groups and stuff will take advantage of.
Over 3,000 kids on campus.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
again, it's a ministry that is so important, so has such a big impact. And again, it allows kids to set foot on the campgrounds, to see camp, many of them for the first time in their life, and kind of helps with that fear factor of them looking at this as an opportunity to maybe spend a week in the summer here. But it also allows us to have influence because many of those kids will bring their parents. And again, we have the opportunity to not just talk to them and educate them. Most of the programming is done with core content, which is why teachers love bringing their kids here. But they're also going to hear about the love of Jesus, and they're going to hear things from a biblical perspective. And so it's a very impactful program, and it's one that Rick and Kathy Franklin have done a great job with. Again, the reality is that it's not going to be much longer before that ministry is going to have to come under new leadership. Rick and Kathy are realists, and they know that their time is short. And so that's a prayer request. The other thing about that program is this: it is absolutely dependent on volunteers. And so we look for and put out the word for any person who has, they don't need to have the whole 5 weeks, but if you have a period of time of at least a week that you can give and help out during that 5-week period, we would love to talk with you. You don't need to be this profession, but retired teachers make great outdoor ed people.
They do.
So that's ideal, but you don't have to. Some of you say, well, I'm not good with kids. We need everybody from people working in the dining room to working in the store. We need cleaners. You don't have to have an upfront position in front of the kids. You just need to be willing. And if you're willing, we can probably put you to work. We'll house you and we'll feed you for the time that you're here. You just need to get here. And if you're interested in that, contact camp, and we'll put you in contact with Rick and Kathy and how you can get involved with outdoor ed.
Awesome. Hey, rounding us out here, we've talked about a lot of events going on, but we had something brand new to campus just this past year. Wilbur, not Wilbur.
Well, he's going to appreciate that.
Wilbert
Gilbert.
All right, let's get back on track here.
William Gilbert.
William Gilbert from up around the Chicago area, new to staff here at camp over the past couple of years, brought this idea of a youth conference down here at the tail end of the summer. And this is groups from other areas, not necessarily local groups, but groups from other areas who come in. A lot of times leading student ministries over the years, you want a place to go kind of far off to get your kids away, to invest in them a little bit more. And we were able to provide an atmosphere like that for several groups this summer, right?
He invited a bunch of his friends from Chicago, basically.
Hey, it worked, man.
And it worked. It seemed like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I threw out the concept last podcast of parachurch organization. Again, quickly, that just means that we exist to help encourage and grow the local church. And so we found that this was one of those ways to do it. Not only on the part of the churches that came down to Camp Nathanael from outside of our area, but to have those churches then partner with some of our local churches. And all camp did was facilitate it. All we did was give them a place to sleep. We fed them and gave them a place to worship, and just basically became the hub for dispersion of those different work groups that came in. And it was wildly successful. And so we're doing it again this summer. And so we've got local churches who are teaming up with churches on the outside who want to just encourage and help if there's things that need to be done around the church, if it's ministry-related opportunities that they want to have this church help them do, whether it's building ramps or repairing roofs for people in their church or in their community that their church ministers to. That's what we want to do. And again, we're doing it again this summer. So if you're a local church that would say, hey, I would like to partner with a church from outside the area, all you're required to do, I think, is feed them lunch. They're there. They leave. We feed them breakfast. They go out to that area in that community. You provide lunch for them that day, and
they work,
and
and they get stuff done.
There is a level of supplying the church coming up with the means and the supplies to get the work done, but you're basically getting free labor. And Again, that doesn't have to be just labor, some like work projects. It can also be ministry. Maybe you want to do a VBS that week.
Yeah.
Those churches would be happy to help staff that VBS, work your recreation for you, all that kind of stuff. So again, if it's something that your church could use, contact camp and we'll see if we can't link you up.
Awesome.
Trying to connect people and churches there.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
speaking of new things,
Oh, lots of new things.
we had lots of new people.
Man, it seems like there's always new people, you know? And that's so
That
good.
is a good thing.
That is
very
such a good
good.
thing.
As a director, that is a very good thing. I mentioned in the last podcast, you can't do ministry without people. And we've already talked about different areas that our ministry has grown and different new ministries that we've brought in that we are trying to make sure that we're using our facilities to the maximum capacity of being able to do those kinds of things. But you can't do it without people. And so as we grow things and people's schedules become more and more full, sometimes we're just like, this would be a really great idea, but we have to have somebody to do it. And so the fact that Camp Nathanael has had some new families join the mission this past year has been absolutely wonderful.
There's still only 24 hours in a day.
Right. So let me introduce those people to you real quick. The first family was the Raffertys, Austin and Katie. They were Perry County people. They were born and raised in this area. Both had camp experiences as kids.
I think they met at camp, didn't
Met
they?
at camp.
Yeah.
It was one of those camp romances. Actually, they weren't campers when they were romancing. It was, I think he was staff. She was a camper.
Okay.
But it was close in age. It wasn't crazy.
Right.
But hey, it was great. God used that experience, and after them getting in the secular world and workforce, they began participating in some of the camp events, and God just started directing their hearts. And basically, the question was, "Hey, why not us?"
Yep.
And God used that. And before we knew it, we had interviewed them. They raised their support in amazing time. God was so good to them. And they came on, and they've been serving with us for a year. And just a caveat to that would be that Austin has been named the new camp director for next summer. So
yeah.
we're excited about that and what he's going to bring
I'm
to
excited
that.
about
He's got
that.
he's got the leadership and the personality to be
Great
able
guy.
to pull it off there.
There you
And
go, man.
And Katie's just a bundle of energy. I don't know how she does it. For those of you who don't know, they have 7 children.
They named, actually, one of their kids' middle names is Nathaniel, out after naming it after Camp Nathanael. So-
And you would look at them, and I get tired just watching that family function.
They're
And
another adoptive family. We've
That's right.
talked about that a few times.
Yes, indeed.
No, they've got lots of kids.
Yep. So, but we are pro family here, and we love all that at Camp Nathanael, so they fit right in really great. The next family is the Cleavers. Now, the Cleavers have actually been on campus for a while, but they've been raising the support. He was brought on to fulfill a maintenance position. And they are now supported, and so they are officially part of the mission organization, Andrew and his wife, Faith. They also have 4 children, and they are stationed right here on campus, and so we're very, very excited about what he brings to the table. Some of you know that camp has over 40 buildings and over 500 acres to maintain. And so Andrew has become a very, very important part of that staff, our maintenance staff, and we are grateful for the skill set that he brings to the table for sure.
Absolutely.
He's really good at like he'll see the problem and he just his brain is able to rip the whole thing apart and put it back together, and he goes, "Yeah, I know how to fix that."
He's a professional tinkerer, and those are perfect maintenance guys.
I'll tell you something about Andrew that I like. I like watching him. Like if he's standing over there thinking about something, I'll lean over to somebody next to me and go, "Watch him. Watch what happens." And the next thing you know, man, he just snaps out of it and he's off.
But no, we're excited about that family now being full time with us and contributing. And then the last couple, some of you are familiar with Derek Plitt. He was doing an internship with us, and he didn't even get through his whole internship. And he came into my office and he said, "I think this is where God would have me full time." So we were really excited about that. But we also knew that probably was going to be a package deal, because at that time he was engaged to be married to a young lady.
Yeah, man.
And so his fiance at that time,
Kayla,
who was on staff at camp, they met at camp, again, one of those camp meetings. she had gotten a degree in teaching and already had a job lined up in Harlan County, which is where Derek was doing his internship. And of course, him being on full time, he was a great fit to stay right over there. And so we brought them both in for an interview and just kind of wanted to see where their hearts were. And we are convinced that their hearts are here. And so it was with great excitement that we ended up accepting them. And they are kind of still a little bit raising some support, trying to get that support raised. Kayla is doing a dual role right now where she is using her teaching degree to work in the school system. But I think as God would have it, I'm not going to speak for them, but I don't think it will be too much longer where they might be looking at, both of them being fully engaged in ministry here with Camp Nathanael. But Derek is working hard to make sure that they're going to have enough support for when that time happens. So yeah, we are very, very excited about what God has done and how he's grown our staff.
If you're unfamiliar, camp runs off donations.
Yeah.
Every ministry that we have
yeah.
is run off people that give to the mission. Every missionary that is here working has a team of people that have surrounded them with financial support and prayer. We need both. And that's how we've run ministry that way for over 90 years now.
We use this term faith-based ministries.
Yes.
I put in the word total. I just preface that with the word, we are a total faith-based ministry. That means that we do not bring in any kind of money that helps support anything outside, definitely our staffing. Nobody gets, nobody's getting reimbursed. They are responsible for building their support team. All the funds that come into camp strictly are going to the function of our ministry.
Yes.
Paying the light bill, paying our insurance, doing ministry, feeding our horses, all of those different things. Now, some of you may say, well, I really like this part of Camp Nathanael ministry. Well, then get behind it. That's as a director, all I can say is, okay, well, then allow that passion, allow that interest for you to be motivated to help us do what we do, because it is all done through donation.
And as the financial guy, I spend all day down in the office crunching numbers. It's amazing to see how God provides through his people.
Yeah, even when we talked about our family camp, most people know we don't even charge people to come for our family camp. And I've had lots of people look at me and say, "You can't do that. you can't keep doing that." And I'm like, "Listen, until God, shuts the faucet off.
Yeah,
this is how we operate. This is who we are. This is how we've always done it. And God is faithful, and He uses His people to bring in what's necessary for us to minister and do what we need to do. And I, as long as I'm sitting in this chair, I'm not changing that philosophy. A lot of people say, well, then you really got to start asking more. You got to put out flyers. Nope, we're not going to do that either. People who hear what we do are going to be motivated by God's Spirit and say, I need to get behind that ministry. And that's how it's going to happen. And hopefully God will continue to raise up those partners. And He has in the past. And we're just walking by faith and thinking He's going to do it in the future.
So if somebody wants to, if somebody's listening to this, or they know someone who wants to get involved in somehow becoming a partner with Camp Nathanael in those ways, what's the best thing that they can do to reach out?
Well, really, the easiest thing to do is just call. Or connect with the mission. Lee will be the one that would be able to.
I'm usually down in my office answering the phone.
We're far enough into the future that we do have online giving. You can have it automatically taken from various different places. If you're an old-fashioned person and you just want to write the check and send it in, you can do it that way as well. But the point is this: the point is we are always looking for people who want to have an opportunity to be part of something that God is doing to grow the kingdom. And I would just encourage, listen, you should be doing that through your local church. I'm not going to preach here. You already should be doing that through your local church. But the reality is that some people have been blessed financially in a way that says, you know what, I would love to give some, we are in a position where we we can help grow the kingdom in other ways. And Camp Nathanael is one of those areas that we want to get behind and support. We are so excited about what they're doing and how they're doing it and the impact they're having and the souls that are being saved. And we want to be able to share those stories with you in an intimate way. And we do with all of our partners. Mm-hmm. We want them to know that we don't get to do what we do without them.
This is why we have stories for podcasts.
Exactly. That's right. And one of the exciting things, we talk about new people. Let's if you don't care, let's transition.
We have interns.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've developed is an opportunity for people who are looking at ministry, not just to be a part of as far as giving, but they think, what about maybe God wants me in ministry? What would that look like? And so we've started an internship some time back ago, and so we've got 3 new people who are going to be partnering with us in ministry for the next year. We're excited about all 3 of them. They're 3 young ladies. One, Grace Smith, who is a student at Frontier School of the Bible in Wyoming. We have a connection with that school, and so she has finished her schooling out there, and she wants to come and do an internship with us. She gets a little bit of school credit for it, but she is also looking for where God might want to use her full time. So Grace Smith is going to be coming and having a big part in helping our hospitality department and some of our cleaning duties and things like that for our things here. The next one is Paige Waddles. Paige has been a camper since the 5th grade. She's been on staff for several summers, actually got her degree, but again, is just feeling God's Spirit, maybe possibly leading her into ministry. And because she's familiar with ours, she is committed for at least 9 months to serve with us. And so Paige is going to have an opportunity to get involved and maybe do some schools and some work here.
Those are really cool. Those stories where it's the kids that came to camp that were just like,
we don't have enough time.
We don't have time for all of it, but
Paige,
those are just neat stories.
Paige was featured in our last Light that came out in December. So by the way, if you are not on our Light in the Hills mailing list,
it's a quarterly
newsletter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We would love for you to see that. That'll keep you in tune with what's happening. Simply just, again, a call to Lee and say, hey, could you put me on the Light in the Hills mailing list? And you'll get to see those. You'll get to hear some of those stories more in depth. And so Paige is featured in our last Light, so you can learn more about that. The last one is a familiar name, Alora Franklin, who is the youngest daughter of Rick and Kathy Franklin.
Coming full circle, man.
Coming full circle. She did a stint out of high school, went to Word of Life in Scroon Lake, New York, and then was working in Ohio and got involved in some ministry of her local church. And God used that to spur her on to say, you know what, maybe ministry is an avenue that I would like to pursue. And so she came back to a familiar place that she knew. It was really funny. Her story was like, I grew up a mission kid. I knew what we did, but because she was homeschooled, she has never experienced, a worker going into the school and doing character ed classes. Uh-huh. And so she said, I don't even know what that looks like, which was kind of weird for me to think about that because that's what Rick did. But so she's going to have an opportunity to see whether or not this is a ministry that she would see God calling her to full time. So those 3 young ladies we definitely want to bring up and pray for. And again, there's a level of support that they have to garnish as well. So pray for that.
All right. Well, guys, we're getting ready. We're really close to the end of the program.
I got to ask though.
Okay.
What's for Jeff here? We're in the new year.
Yep.
We're the 15 days into the new year. The newness is still there. The newness doesn't worn off yet. What's some of the big things we're looking forward to this year? Is there any big thing that sticks out in your mind that's like, man, I'm so excited about?
We're doing a father-daughter banquet.
Are we really?
Yes,
we are.
What? I didn't know about this.
Yeah. Are you coming, Stephen?
Yes.
So I know that sounds that might sound trivial to some, but what happened was we did a father-son. We do father-son events, and we were just looking around, and there were a lot of dads who didn't have sons. So we were looking at it, and actually some of them came to us and said, any chance that you would look at maybe doing something that we could do with daughters? And I was looking at that, and I have a daughter, and I thought, you know what, that would have been really cool. So right after Valentine's Day in February, we are doing a father-daughter dinner, And
Nice.
so kind of excited about that. I know that sounds like a little, but I'm kind of.
My daughters are 16 now, though. I mean,
they can come.
No,
They
I
still
think
can?
that's,
Okay,
yeah.
Oh, yes.
good deal. All right.
I think so.
And the idea is to just be very, as we're similar to talking the different men's ministries and different things like that. We've been
Yeah.
very intentional with dads pouring into their sons.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those where it's like, well, okay, well, what about dads pouring into their daughters?
Yeah.
How are they nurturing that relationship? How are they pushing them to disciple their daughters and to help them grow into
Well, it's actually
women
the
of
challenge
God?
for dads to be that
to be that.
father figure, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of our kids get this idea of God from their father.
That's. I mean, we're called to be that representation.
That's exactly.
You know?
And so challenging dads to say, guess what? It's a big deal. And it's for some dads that is a heavy weight. It's a burden for some, saying, how can I live up to this? And it's not that we're going to be perfect, but just challenging dads to say, hey, my daughter does look at me that way, and I want to be that example to her. So
That's exciting, man. That's
And a lot of times it's setting the goal out there.
right.
You're going to meet, a lot of times you're going to meet your expectations or your goals. And to be able to come in and say, listen, this is what we're trying to do. And
Right.
sure, we might not do it perfectly,
Well,
but
like
you're going to hit what you're going to.
Yeah, my grandfather said, if you aim for nothing, you hit it every time.
there you go, man.
So we're at least going to put something out there for